I'm just kidding. This is my favorite.
I know. You're like using it as a punching bag. What don't you use as a punching bag, really, Bean? Meow.
I'm a violent person.
Test mode.
We're on the test mode.
Tips and tricks of the test mode extravaganza on the Vienna Plus.
Exactly.
Starring Brendan Swenson.
This guy.
Take it away.
Test mode. So test mode with Saeco machines is really cool because you can test all the functionality of your machine. You can kind of determine whether certain aspects of your machine are actually not working, or maybe the machine is preventing them from working because you maybe don't have a drip tray in place, or your water's out. You know, there are a lot of safety precautions that they put into the software of the machine. So things like your pump won't work or your grinder won't work, depending if, you know, certain things are in place or not. So,
but this enables you to test the functionality without, like, you know, that stuff being engaged.
Exactly. It's kind of just like at the bare bones, like, let's send voltage to the motor to see if it's actually not working.
Okay.
To the motor of the pump, to the motor of the grinder, to the motor of the brew unit motor, anything like that.
What about your motor? Yes? No?
No. This Vienna doesn't control me.
Don't tell me what to do. All right, how do I get into the test mode?
It's really easy. It's easier than you'd think. You just hold down these two buttons while you hit power.
Okay.
And you'll know that you're in test mode because one light will come on and just stay on, rather than it coming on and blinking and telling you that it's heating up.
Okay.
So here we go. Gonna turn it on. Let go. We are in test mode.
And also I saw this little dude blinked a little bit too. The little red dude.
I wonder what that was doing.
I don't know. Maybe it was just saying, hey, you're in test mode.
Hey, it's like, hey, Brendan, you're in test mode. Good to go. Okay, so essentially test mode is used to determine whether 6 things are functioning.
All right.
And the way you do that is you test 2 different functions in 3 different spots of the dial. And so right now we're all the way to the left. Then another area is at 12 o'clock. The next one's all the way to the right. But we're going to start all the way to the left and stay here. And so when you're all the way to the left, you control 2 things here and here. So the first thing we do here, I believe this is moving your brew unit from home position to work position. Oh no, excuse me, I was wrong. It's the pump.
Pump?
This one is brew unit.
Okay.
So, you know, you can essentially just prime your machine in test mode if you want to, but the pump went out right away because I didn't actually even have my valve open.
So it couldn't actually move any water through the system.
It's got nowhere to go.
Okay.
So I'm going to open this up. You saw a little pressure there. Yep. So here we go. There we go. And then if you watch this, that's actually our flow meter.
How many times it's rotating?
Exactly. That's telling us the rotations of the magnet and the turbine on the flow meter. Okay. So like if you're looking at that and you're in test mode and it's maybe doing something kind of weird, like, you know, kind of like dot 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 instead of just a consistent blinking, you should probably get in there and clean your flow meter out. Okay. There could be grounds in there, or sometimes a film can kind of form over the magnet just from water going in there and evaporating and in there and evaporating. So you can like wipe off the top of that magnet and you'll be good to go.
Got it.
And then here's where I think it's the brew unit to go into work position, which is exactly what it's doing. So essentially when it's going into work position, all it's really doing is tamping all the grounds into a puck before the water goes.
But since you don't have anything in there, it just like moved that brew group up, right?
Exactly.
To meet the little tamper.
Precisely.
Okay.
So now we're going to go to 12 o'clock because we just figured out that our pump works and our brew unit motor works. So we're going to go to 12 here. Now I believe this is our doser room solenoid. No, I was wrong. I'm off today. Oh, this is our heating element. That's what this is testing. So you can hold this down if you want, and then go back to the first section to make sure that it's heating up your water. But you would have to hold it down for a while. It's not, you know, you're holding the button down and it's sending voltage to your heating element.
I see.
You know, so you'd probably want to hold it down for about a minute. And then you can go back and then actually make sure that the water that's coming out is heating up. The way that they used to have voltage meters in the refurb department, so they don't have to wait that long. Actually, we can hear it boiling right now. It's actually boiling there. So I'm going to let go. Let's go back. I'll open up my valve. And now let's run the pump.
Now that water's going to be super toasty.
Yep. So that's one good way to, you know, just thoroughly check your heating element.
Okay.
So then we're gonna go. I'm gonna close this too. Then we're gonna go back and check this, which is gonna put our brew unit is still in work position. And then when we're here at 12 o'clock and hit this button, it's gonna put it back into home.
So it's lowering that little area down.
Exactly. It's essentially getting it ready to accept grounds again.
Okay.
And it's also getting it ready so you can take your brew unit out if you need to.
So B, if I'm having some issues with my brew unit, could I go into test mode and just like sort of run it through those to just make sure that it's fully reset?
Yes, you could. You could. Actually, I'm planning on showing you guys kind of a cool trick that you can do with test mode and your Vienna and rinsing your brew unit.
Okay.
But we'll get there in just a sec.
All right. And now if we move all the way to the right.
If we move all the way to the right, this is where it will check your grinder and a valve that controls your dosage room.
Okay.
So and it's a loud click. That.
Oh.
So essentially what that's doing is the dosage chamber that gets full of grounds every time you grind grounds, coffee beans. It's like a trap door, and it's just opening and falling right into the brew unit. That's all that's happening when you hear this. And sometimes it will do it 2 or 3 times just to knock all the grounds into your brew unit.
Okay.
And then the last one is your grinder.
Right.
So we know that's all going.
And that sounds nice and quiet because there are no beans in there.
Exactly.
Or as quiet as I guess it will ever get.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, now, here's the trick I was going to show you. So, one of the things about the Vienna that makes it, you know, I wouldn't call it a lower end super automatic by any means, but that makes it a little cheaper than the Odeya and the Cynthia.
Entry level.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to sugarcoat it. I like it.
I am a marketer, B. What am I going to do?
Right now, the machine's heating up.
Okay.
So, you know, and typically with those other machines, when it heats up, it's going to rinse. Which is, I think, a very, very nice feature for any machine because you always have coffee going through there. It gets a little grimy from time to time. And one way to prevent that is by a nice, really hot rinse before you pull your next shot. And like I'm saying, that you know, the Talea line and the Odeya line, they all do that, the Cynthia line. And there's, oh, look at that. We're already at temp. So right now, we know if this was another Saeco machine that was a little higher up, it would be rinsing right now. But we just learned that we can put our brew unit in work position and run the pump. So essentially that's all we need to do. I'm going to do that pretty quickly right now, just to ensure that it's actually at that temperature. So I'm going to turn it off, quickly put it into test mode, which we're in. I'm going to come over here, put my brew unit in work position. And now one thing to make sure is that your steam valve is shut, because it's going to want to go that path if it's open. But we have our brew unit in work position, which means that's the water path. So I'm going to hit the pump, and it's going to come out the brew unit with that water that's at temperature. So essentially what you're doing right now is rinsing your Vienna brew unit. You now have scalding water, you know, going through and giving your brew unit a good rinse. Now this water in particular isn't that nasty because it's
kind of a new machine.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know, some of you may notice that when you go and do this, like even though there's no coffee in there, it's kind of nasty water, and you can get in the habit of doing that every time you get your machine to temp. Just go into test mode real quick, put it in a work position, and then run some water through it, and you'll be good.
And that's a good way because people will commonly ask, how do I clean that area? You know, make sure there's not any coffee residue. So maybe after you do your shots and stuff, you could do this at the end of the day too, when you're going to power the machine off for the day.
Definitely, and it would already be at temp then. So yeah, it's a really good thing, a really good habit to do. When I used to tech the refurbished machines here, that was something that I did at the beginning and end of each machine.
Okay.
Just because those, you know, even though they would put them into a dishwasher and a sanitizer for the brew unit, you know, it's hard for me to imagine that it's getting through all the nooks and crannies of the water path of the brew unit. So it's a really good way to just get in there, cleans the screen really well, you know, and just all the entire water path of the brew unit itself.
Cool.
And then, you know, if you turn it off and back on, the first thing that the machine's going to do is to put the brew unit back in home position, because right now it's still in work. So we're going to turn it on. We're going to immediately hear the brew unit start moving around.
Okay.
There There are just two switches there, sensing where the gears are and where they're moving the brew unit itself.
And then it always wants to start in the same place.
Exactly. It's got to. And now it's heating up because it was, a boiler full of, room temperature water. So that's a really good way to kind of actually keep your Vienna brew unit in great condition. It's not going to get, full of coffee grounds or things like that. If you're rinsing it off after each use and then doing that, you're set.
It'll also clean the little spigots too.
Exactly, yeah. Your whole coffee dispenser. And actually, while we're here, I don't think a lot of people know.
Oh.
That this is
totally
another good thing to do. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
And it can actually dispense fine right here. That's just your brew unit right there. And all it's doing is just dropping it right in there.
And then it's splitting it.
Exactly.
Got it.
So,
okay.
And, you can do that. But this all comes apart pretty easily too with a series of clips, so you can get in there and clean it out. But yeah, that hot water will do a number on this as well. Make sure I'm getting
do a number, huh?
Exactly.
Cool. All right. So that is test mode. Messing around, making sure everything's working well.
Exactly.
Vienna Plus.
Vienna Plus.
Thank you, B.
No problem.